Hello and welcome to Sim Radio here on the Sisters in Music Network. It's Monday Music Madness and you're tuned into Mixing It with Nicki Kris. This is Nicki, and in case you don't know anything about me, I'm a singer-songwriter from Raleigh, North Carolina. My show celebrates women and men in the music and entertainment industry, providing an avenue for them to showcase their talent. Our motto, Sisters in Music, together we are stronger. My guests today are a Nashville Americana duo. Their album, Peaks and Valleys, encompasses one of the great love stories of our time. Its songs chronicle their odyssey from humble punk rock beginnings in Minnesota's frozen wastelands to their time in the mystic deserts of the Southwest to their new lives in Music City, USA. They connected with multi-Grammy-winning engineer Brandon Bell, known for Brandi Carlile, The Highwomen, and Alison Krauss, and an all-star cast of players to bring Peaks and Valleys to life. We're going to talk about that new album and so much more. In the meantime, please join me in welcoming the awesome Megan and Shane Baskerville. Welcome to Mixing It, guys. How are you doing?
Great.
We're doing great. Yeah, we're just enjoying a kind of steamy Nashville afternoon.
Well, fantastic. I'm really excited to have you on the show. I'm really excited to share your music with everyone. Let's kick things off by learning a little bit more about the two of you. Why don't you tell us how you started playing music together?
Basically, we both were working at a music school called School of Rock and in Minnesota, and I was the music director, and she came in. She was living in Atlanta at the time, and she was moving back to Minnesota, and she needed a job and wanted a job and thought this looked cool, and I didn't hire her. And but
it's true.
She ended up working there. She wanted to be a vocal teacher, and I'm just a jerk sometimes.
And I had a lot to learn about teaching, but I had a really strong administrative background with Starbucks.
And so we brought her in on the administrative end. But really quick, we realized we had the same love of music and like same love of movies and everything else. And we started a punk ska band together and like we started writing music, but we were still just friends. And then one day the drummer of Clutch came into our school to do a workshop, and he told me, because I was driving him around, and he's like, hey, if you want to bring some people, you can come tonight. We're opening up for Motorhead. This would be really cool. And I went up to Megan and I said, hey, do you want to go see Motorhead tonight? And she punched me in the stomach really hard. And I was like, that's weird. That's kind of when I knew, like, oh my God, I think she might like me. And we went to Motorhead, and then it got really weird because we both realized we liked each other. And we're like, she made me stop the car and say, hey, what's happening right now? And I'm like, I don't know. And we realized we liked each other. And then we told.
Who else can say that their first date was Motorhead? I mean, that's pretty awesome.
I know, really. That's actually pretty good. I love that. That's awesome.
And then we kind of like, we're like, yeah, we like each other. And then we told people, and they're like, yeah, duh. And we're like, oh, this isn't like a secret. But we then started writing songs, like Americana songs, like on the floor of her studio apartment in Minneapolis. We would drink and eat and like we'd talk, and then we'd sit on the floor and write songs and really got deep into our feelings. And that's where the Megan and Shane like songs started happening. And that was, we're coming up on our 10-year wedding anniversary. So this was like 12, 13 years ago that we were doing this.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, congrats on the music and the wedding and the 10 years. That's fantastic. And it's a really weird, I guess, progression to go from, maybe it's not weird, but it's definitely not normal, I guess, to go from like punk ska into Americana, because they are quite different. So what would you guys say are Yeah, they are. They're really kind of different, because I do a lot of pop rock stuff, and now everybody's like, oh, you should try this. I'm like, that's really different. But anyway, who would you guys say are some of your musical influences then?
That's a great question. And I think for us, no matter what the genre, the storytelling is the biggest part for us. And it's always about the story and the song and the lyric. And that is the biggest thing for us. If that connects with us, that's the most important thing. And some days it might be hair metal. Some days it might be punk. Some days it might be, Brandi Carlile. But if the song reaches you, that's the most important thing. We actually, today, we're listening to John Mellencamp's new album. And he, for me personally, is someone that has just completely reached into my soul and told my Midwestern American story my whole life. I think Brandi Carlile and the Hansrath brothers are a huge influence on us. But I think one of the albums that has moved us, and Shane, you can chime in whenever, but one of the albums that totally got us through the pandemic was Lucas Nelson and his album Just a Few Stars Apart. We listened to that every morning when we woke up, and it was like an anxiety crusher. It was like, okay, everything's crazy. And we put this on, and it's like, okay, this is a reminder, we're all going to be okay. It's going to be okay. We're going to figure this out. It's going to be good.
We'd put that album on and turn off the news, and it was just like, okay, we're good.
Is it Lucas Nelson Band? Does he have a band, or does he perform by himself?
It's Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real. That's his band.
Okay. All right. That's who I thought. Awesome. And I'm not real familiar with them, so I'm going to have to now go check out their album.
It's funny because all of the stuff that he's done outside of this one album is kind of jammy, which is cool. But this album, Just a Few Stars Apart, was it just was stripped down and beautiful and really just reached
and
both of us.
Life-changing.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to go check them out. I always like discovering new bands or artists that I'm not real familiar with, because 9 times out of 10, I'm like, oh, wow, how could I not know that this person existed? So I love it.
Well, if we're on that trip, I have to just also give a shout out to Aaron Ratier, and his album, Single White Dreamer, is just he writes for Miranda Lambert and a lot of people here, and his solo album that he put out last year was just insane. So good. So good.
Well, great. Well, thank you for that. I will definitely check out that one also. See, I learn all these nice, lovely new things when I actually have these interviews. Everybody always shares with me some of the artists that influence them, and sometimes I know them, sometimes I don't. So this is great. Megan, you mentioned that one of the things that is prevalent with your music, regardless of genre, is storytelling and the lyrics and emoting, feeling, and things like that. Would you say that is what really sets your music apart from everyone else, or would you say something else does?
That's a great question. I don't know if it sets us apart. I think the artists that we love are willing to be vulnerable. And I think with this record, we really just tried to be honest about how we were feeling. And vulnerability sometimes is really hard, and there's pain in that to work through some things. But I think that's what we had to do to get this music out. And then we were fortunate enough to work with people who were so nurturing and caring and kind that it was a safe place to be totally vulnerable.
I like that. And we're going to get into more of that when we talk a bit more about the album. But in the meantime, I really would like to share one of the songs that you brought with you. And I do believe that this is on the new album. Let's talk about Rose-Colored Glasses. What is this song about?
So it's kind of a hard thing to talk about, to be honest, because it's a little bit embarrassing. But when we were living in Arizona, we did a lot of and we do this here as well. We do a lot of volunteer work with an organization called Musically Fed, and they basically feed the homeless, and they feed underserved people. And we were feeling really great about the fact that we were volunteering doing this. And in Arizona, we went to this food bank and would help sort food and distribute it. And there was this day that we worked with this gentleman who was obviously a recipient of the food, but he was a volunteer as well. And he had a brain injury and like kind of looked rough. And I looked at him and he was bossing me around. And I'm like, I totally had pity for you. And I shouldn't, because you're totally the boss. And it was this humbling moment of like, I'm going to cry. Like, why are we always judging a book by its cover? We don't know what everyone's going through. And that's really where the song came from.
Yeah, and these guys were total, like, hardcore. Like, they were like, we went in there thinking we were going to help them. And they were like, no, you go there, you pick this up, you bring it there. No, that needs to go there. You guys knock it off. You guys need to do this. And we're like, oh, okay. We thought we were helping
You're the
you,
boss.
but you are here to help us. and like, it was a real eye-opener. Just because they look rough doesn't mean they are. And like, they totally had it under control, and they're totally happy with who they are and who are we to judge that.
They had joy in their work. Like, that was the biggest thing.
I love that. That's such a wonderful message. And I love the title of this because it definitely now correlates with what you're explaining the song is about. And I think it's a great message, and it sounds like a wonderful story. And thank you for continuing to do that important work, because it is definitely important that we help others, especially in their time of need. So with that, though, let's put this on. It is a fantastic song, and I'm really excited to share it. This is Rose-Colored Glasses by Megan and Shane.
Lend me a quarter and I'll give back a dime. There's nothing in this world more precious than time. Take what I need and give back what's not mine. Tomorrow I'll repay in kind. Tomorrow I'll repay in kind. I don't need gold to live like a king. When I'm giving myself, it's what makes me sing. You think I need help? The only help that I need is helping each other to see. Rose-colored glasses makes it too easy to hide. Start taking them off and look me right in the eyes. The veil that looks dirty to you is clean on my side. Don't pity what you think looks pretty. We're doing just fine. Cardboard is something that holds all your things that you think you want, but no, you don't need. There's nowhere to know what the future might bring. Tomorrow may end in rough seas. Tomorrow may end in rough seas. Rose-colored glasses makes it too easy to hide. Start taking them off and look me right in the eyes. A veil that looks dirty to you is clean on my side. Don't pity what you think looks gritty. Don't pity what you think looks gritty. We're doing just fine. Lend me a quarter and I'll give back a dime. There's nothing in this world more precious than time.
Like I said, it's an absolutely wonderful song. I love absolutely love the blend of your voices. They go so well together. They're very different and unique, but very much in sync, which in my opinion is actually something that does set you apart from a lot of, what I would call, almost cookie cutter duos, because I do think your voices are very unique and distinct in and of themselves, but they blend really nice together. And Megan, you've got some pipes, girl.
Thank you. I like to belt.
Yes, I'm a belter too, so I love it. That's why I was just like, oh my God, another belter. So I love it. Fantastic. It's a wonder song. Really great.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It was a really fun one to write and felt really good to get that out.
Very good. Well, we're going to talk a little bit about songwriting, and we're going to talk about that next. But first, I would like to find out what brought you guys to Nashville, because it sounds like you've lived in multiple different places.
Yeah.
A lot of people I know do go to Nashville. What brought you to Music City, USA?
We were running 3 music schools in Arizona, and we were working 24/7 around the clock. Like, it took up all of our time together. And then the pandemic happened, and everything shut down, and we had to move everything remotely. And once we got that taken care of, we had a lot of time together to just sit and talk and listen to music and write music. And we were writing so much, but we were also realizing, like, we really liked each other. Like, for all the time we were together, we just did the school. We met at the school. Everything was about the school. And we had that moment of, like, what are we doing? Like, we hadn't had 2 days off in a row together the whole time we've been together, because all we've done is this music school. And
in 10 years.
Once we got, in 10 years, yeah. And once we were vaccinated and everything started loosening up, we went to Nashville for just a trip in April, and we fell in love with it. We felt right at home, and we're like, we need to make a change. And then we, moved 7 months later, and we just quit our jobs and just kind of threw caution to the wind. And because we were writing so much and we were connecting so much, we just needed to see what it'd be like to do something different and to see what we have without the school. And we have fell more in love with each other this last year and a half being here in Nashville. We have written more songs than ever. We've made great connections. Nashville has been a blessing to us, but also like a kick to the gut at some points. It's been hard.
This place is like, I don't know how much time you spent here, but it's wild.
It is wild.
Way. It's wild. It is like the best way, but the worst way. Last September, I was held up at gunpoint by 3 teenage boys, and my car was stolen, and had a gun pointed in my face. And so there's that part of the story too, where they caught them, all of that stuff, like the wonderful Nashville Police Department, like, did everything that they could and did everything right. And, I got the help I needed right away, but that part of the city is also like very much a part of our story. It's wild, but it's also kind of scary. This city is intense. And I don't mean to turn the interview into like anything negative. Like, I'm okay.
No.
There's been great resources, but
well, I'm really sorry you had to go through that. Really, I'm really sorry that you had to go through that. And I am aware that the city is definitely intense, and I think that's indicative though of any city to some extent. New York City is another one, even though it's 5 times, 6 times Nashville, but a lot of cities have that, they have great things, but then there's also some challenging things. And it must also be a little bit challenging too, because that happens to be the Mecca, if you will, at least the United States Mecca, maybe even the world's Mecca for Americana country music, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that in and of itself must be massively intense. I have a lot of friends that live there, and I know it's a grind on a daily basis.
Yes.
Yeah, Shane, you can talk about that.
Luckily we're both very ambitious, and we're not afraid to ask for things. And like, there's 3 different parts of Nashville. There is Broadway, which is like the really good players, but they play covers and they get paid a lot of money to play down there and get tips and everything. Then there's Music Row, where it's the songwriters that write the songs for everybody. And then there's like your Americana country artists that play not on Broadway because they play their own music and they're writing their own music. They're not writing music for other people. And that's where we're at. We're in that third part. And it's crazy because like there's just so much going on all the time here. And we've been very fortunate that Nashville welcomed us with open arms and like really gave us a lot of opportunities to do what we do from day one. You know, it's like our first 6 months here, we played like 40 plus shows right away and singer-songwriter circles and venues and everything. And we got to meet a lot of people. And like our first weekend here, I won a guitar from Margot Price, and we opened up for Lily May, which is a huge inspiration to us. And we contacted Brandon Bell, who engineered and produced our album, and he met us for coffee and said, "I'll do it on a freaking
a shoestring budget." Yep,
shoestring budget.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. Because like I said, I mean, I actually know somebody that I'm good friends with that plays out quite frequently and does do a lot of stuff. But she also, in her band, they do a lot of the writing, or she does a lot of writing. She's kind of blended, like she's done the artist, plus I know she does a lot of stuff on Music Row too. So, but anyways, well.
That's cool. And to be able to do both of those things is like a blessing.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. And she's like a crazy songwriter. Like she can churn out I did a co-write with her and the song was done in less than 30 minutes. It's nuts.
Awesome.
It's nuts. Yeah, I know, because I don't write that way. So I was just like, whoa, you know, it was a new experience for me. You know, I know it was. I mean, I'm just like, oh my God. But anyway, but let's talk about songwriting, because that actually is a really, really great segue. Tell us about your songwriting process and where you draw your inspiration from.
It happens a lot of different ways, but the best way is there's two things that happen when I know it's going to be a good song. Either I'm cooking and he's sitting with the guitar and playing a riff and then we come up with something, or he wakes me up at 3 a.m. and says, "You have to hear this. It's in my head. You have to hear it right now." And then we'll get up and make coffee and sit on the floor and just flush it out. Like we're totally crazy that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't say coffee. It's usually bourbon, but like, you know, she just didn't want to say we're drinking bourbon at 3, 4 in the morning, but it is like we'll sit there, light candles, incense. Yep. And we'll sit there on the floor and turn out these songs, and they do come pretty quick. They're like a vessel thing. But like the song Things Don't Have to Change, she was cooking and I was plugging away on these 2 chords, and she's like, "Can you send that to me in a voice memo?" And I did. And then the next day she came in with the whole song written, and she's just like, "Here you go. Here's the song." And I was like, "This is awesome." And, you know, it's like, and that's basically how you hear it on the album, is how she wrote it, just from a voice memo, you know, and it's like, but a lot of times it's just us. I'm playing guitar while she's cooking, and she starts singing a melody line, or I start singing one, and then we just kind of like come up with some lyrics that fit with those melody lines, and that's how they're written.
And I think, you know, 9 times out of 10, for me, the lyrical content's super important. It is mostly about life experiences, you know, pain, joy, all of that. All the songs on this new record are about our own experiences. It's not fabricated. It's not storytelling in the sense that it's making something up. Like, these are things that we've experienced. And I think, again, if you can be that vulnerable, that's a good thing. Hopefully people connect with it. They might not. I don't know. But that's the goal.
Yeah, but I actually think that that's important, because one of the things, and I don't know if you've listened to my show previously at all, but one of the things that is actually important to me, and I'm finding quite a bit as of late, it's important to a lot of the artists and songwriters that I'm bringing on, is the lyrical content. because I think I don't want to classify it as mainstream, but I think a lot of what we're hearing on like the radio today, when I say radio, I mean whether it be like, you know, popular songs on Spotify or even like satellite radio, Sirius XM and things like that. They're very non-descriptive songs, if you will, very simplistic. There's not a lot of feeling behind the lyrics. Sometimes the lyrics don't even make any sense. You know, I'm seeing a change in at least the people that I'm talking to, that lyrical content and emoting a feeling or having a song that's actually relatable is starting to be much more important than whether or not some guy got lucky. You know, that's the only you know, important lyric I could come up with, but I'm starting to see that a lot, and it's actually very refreshing, because being a pop rock artist, I find it very hard to like dummy down songs. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been told that, but like I've actually been told early on in my career, your lyrics are too complicated and you need to dummy them down, or people won't understand them. And I'm like, what? I'm just like, that's crazy. But I mean, do you guys like get like comments like that on your stuff? You know,
it's like I've been doing music for a long time, and definitely have had labels like say like, hey, can you make music more for the masses? Can you make your lyrics like attribute, you know, like connect with more people? But we're heading into a time where like the true songwriter and the connection with the lyrics and the songs and your human emotion is going to be more important than ever, because AI is there, and not to get weird and stuff, but like AI has the technology right now. I've heard it. Like you can plug in, like write a pop song in the style of Taylor Swift, sounding like Taylor Swift, in this amount of time about a breakup song, and it will write a great sounding song. And it's like those songs that are kind of like made for the masses, those pop stars and stuff are in trouble, because they are going to be able to be like written by a machine and not cost any money. Like literally $100 you can go in there
and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like what we have is our genuine human emotion, and I think there's not really any difference between Americana or punk rock when it comes to that, or pop rock or metal. We're talking about how we feel, whether it's angry, sad, joyous, all of it. And if we are being genuine about how we feel, that is going to be like the truest art form pretty soon, because of all like the weird stuff going on. Yeah, no, I completely agree. With that, though, let's talk about a songwriting tip or trick to share, because I do actually ask this with all my songwriters. You know, is there something, a tip or trick, that you would like to share with any budding songwriters out there, and have it not be use Chat GPT?
Can I go?
Yep.
And then you can go. We watched a documentary on the writing and creation of Paul Simon's Graceland. And my whole life, I've been writing songs since I was like 10 years old. Songs would come to me, and you're a songwriter, you know, like you come up with like an idea, a melody, and something always just comes out. Like it might be some stupid line that you don't even think about, but you're like, you just keep singing it over and over again. That's what connects. The biggest thing I'd have to say is stick with that. Like what comes first to your brain, stick with that. Paul Simon said in that documentary, he's like, Graceland, the song, wasn't going to be Graceland. He totally had a different idea, but he just kept, Graceland was his, like, he just held it like there as the placeholder, and like, but he kept coming back to it. No matter what he tried to write, he just kept going, Graceland, Graceland. And he's just like, I just need to stick with that. I just need to make it about Graceland. That is the main tip, is like, that happens to us all the time. We just start singing something to a riff or a chord progression, and we just roll off of that and create the song based off of that, because that is the feeling of the song, and that is what got us in our gut.
I love that. That's a great tip.
I don't think I could say that any better. I would say, and then just be raw. Be totally willing to be raw, and the things that are painful to sing about, somebody might need to hear.
That too. 2 great tips. Okay, great place for us to take a short break, hear from a word from one of our partners in podcasting. This is my fabulous partner in crime, Chatting with Nat. We'll be right back on Mixing It with Nicki Kris here on the Sim Radio Network.
Chatting with Nat is a podcast for independent women seeking to speak their truth and to break down barriers. We host honest conversations that help to guide and empower women. Speak your truth and set yourself free. Let your voice be heard.
And we're back on Mixing It with Nicki Kris on the Sim Radio Network, and my awesome guests, Americana duo Megan and Shane. All right, we've already played one of the songs from the album. Let's dig a little bit deeper. Tell us about your new album, inspirations, how you came to work with Brandon Bell and Chris Powell, because I am aware that he is also on it. So let's talk about the new album.
So we'll totally get into that. I have to say, working with Chris Powell was one of the coolest experiences of my life. He's like the biggest burly teddy bear that you could ever meet. He looks like really gruff, but like wants to hug you all the time. And we had this moment in the studio where, I'm sure most people don't know this, but the Brandi Carlile song, The Joke, was written about his son. And he shared that with me and shared this whole story about his child. And like, it was just super cathartic and powerful. And I feel like we're just bonded with him forever. And Shane, you can talk about how you connected with Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, the whole crew we worked with was a dream team. It's basically the wrecking crew of Nashville. And like, basically, we were writing songs. We had about half our album written, and we were really loving the tunes. We just released our album, Daughter of Country, and we were still living in Arizona, but we knew we needed to go the next level. So we started listening to all our favorite records, which were like the Highwomen, Brandi Carlile, and one name kept coming up, and it was Brandon Bell, and like he was at the helm of all these albums. And then I'm like, that name sounds very familiar. I think for some reason I'm friends with him on Facebook, like random, like, hey, you should be friends with this person, and added him, and he added me back. And so I just sent him a Facebook message out of nowhere and didn't expect a response. And a month later, I got a response from him. He's like, hey, when you move to Nashville, let's get together and get coffee, and so we did, and we met him for coffee. He looked at us, and within a minute, he's just like, let's do this. And he's like, what's your budget? We're like, nothing. And he's like, okay, cool. What's extra cool about that is, don't be afraid to ask people, like, what you need or want, because it's not going to happen if you don't ask. But the best part about it is we had this idea that we're going to bring in our friends in from Arizona to come record on it, and we're like telling them, we're like, we can bring in musicians. It's like, no, your budget that you gave me, I'm going to take care of everything. And we're like, do you have an idea who you're going to bring in for musicians? And he's like, yep. And he sent us the invoice, and then on it was Chris Powell and Brian Allen and Tim Galloway, and then I'm like, Chris Powell, he's the drummer of the Highwomen and Brandi Carlile, and Brian Allen has played on Miranda Lambert's albums and has played on everybody's albums. And Tim Galloway is just the most amazing guitar player ever. And we're like, holy buckets, you're bringing these people in to record with us. And what it turns out is Chris, Brian, and Brandon have been working together for years. And like, they've been working with all your favorite artists. Like, you don't even know. The Elvis movie that's out there, they did it, right? They are just that wrecking crew of Nashville, but they wanted to work with a band where they got to say and put their ideas in and put their own stamp in
and have
there.
more input. Yeah.
And have more input. And like, so
how fun.
we were chosen. we were chosen as that band for them to so it was a collaborative effort. It was the whole group of them that produced our album. And it was such a creative, amazing process.
Well, and I have to say too, the camaraderie part was so cool. I'm a Midwest girl. I bring a casserole to everything, and I brought food every day, and we had family lunch, and there was just so much bonding I feel like it comes through in the record because there was space to be vulnerable.
Oh my, that sounds so awesome. It really does.
I cried when it was over.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, but I mean, now you have these lifelong friends, right? And you guys have all these new people that you know. So it's great. It's really great. When can we expect this album to be out?
So it is out July 14th. We released 3 singles leading up to it, but July 14th is the whole record.
Oh, fantastic! And I think are 2 of the singles out already?
3.
There's 3. Yep, there's 3. Yep.
3. All 3 are out. Okay.
We cannot be more excited about the love we've been getting from them. The last single we released has been getting more love from people and playlists and things, and we didn't spend a penny on it. We're broke. We have no pennies to spend, and for some reason it's been taken off, and we couldn't be happier and more excited.
We're grateful, and we're grateful.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I can't wait for the entire album because I know, like I said, I mean, I really love Rose-Colored Glasses. So, and I'm going to go check out the other stuff next. You're welcome. You're welcome. Now, I think the next song that you brought with you, actually, I think is also one of the singles that you released, correct?
Yeah, Things
Correct.
Don't Have to Change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about this one, and then we're going to put it on for everybody. So this is Things Don't Have to Change, featuring Britt Taylor and Lily May. So tell us about this song.
So this is one that Shane came up with. It's a 2-chord song. It's really a simple song, and he came up with this riff that I really liked. And I said, send it to me. And I was in a very reflective place in my life, and kind of hard to, articulate, but my childhood was pretty tough, and then getting to a place as an adult where you can look back and kind of separate things and go, but it wasn't all bad, and you can start to separate, okay, these things were hard, but there was this other stuff that was actually good, and it's okay to honor the good stuff, and it's okay to let go of the bad stuff. And for me, adding Britt and Lily, I really had this vision of it being totally feminine energy and this nurturing, warm song. And they came in and their harmonies just blew my mind. And it's about transformation, really. As we get older, we transform. We don't hold on to the crap. We let it go, and we glob onto the good, and we keep going.
That I definitely agree with, because I am literally saying all the time, I don't have time for this BS, people. It's look,
yep.
karma will come back around and get you. I don't have time for it. I'm going to let karma deal with you. I'm moving on. I can certainly relate. All right. Well, it is another fantastic song. I agree about the harmonies. Very, very, very well done. So let's play this for everybody. This is Things Don't Have to Change, featuring Britt Taylor and Lily May by Megan and Shane.
Holding on to the memories, trying to let go of the past. My heart is a locket filled with a soul full of color. That's who I am. I don't want to hold on to the heartache or the pain. Yeah, some things are different, but some things don't have to change. I don't want to hold on to heartache or the pain. Yeah, some things are different, but some things don't have to change. Slowly inching forward, I'll finally get some rest. Wrapped in layers of silk in my chrysalis. My new wings are drying, I'm getting ready to fly. So many new colors, so beautiful I could cry. I don't want to hold on to heartache or the pain. Yeah, some things are different, but some things don't have to change. I don't want to hold on to heartache or the pain. Yeah, some things are different, but some things don't have to change. Some things don't have to change. Some things don't have to change. I don't want to hold on, but some things don't have to change.
Again, another great song. I love y'all's songwriting. I am in awe of what you guys are coming up with. I think it's that like Nashville vibey thing. I don't know. It takes me time to write stuff. Sometimes stuff happens real quickly, but usually I like to let things stir. Maybe I need to follow your tip, Shane, where it's like if you latch onto this, that's what you need to go with. I might actually do that for the next song that I need to write. I'm going to try that. But
the main thing is like, don't overthink it, just let it flow. Stairway to Heaven was written in 15 minutes.
yes, I know. And it's really funny because the last song that I was working on, my producer and I do a lot of co-writing together, and he sent me this thing, and I'm just like, okay, well, I need, can we build this out a little more, because this is what's popping into my head, and we actually went with the whole theme of what was popping into my head. So you definitely have a good tip there, because I did stick to it, and it does work, because I might have to keep doing that.
No, we as artists are overthinkers as well, and there's a lot of like, I know for me personally, fear of judgment and all that stuff, but like, we know what's good in our gut. We just got to trust it.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, before we sign off, is there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners? Where can they find you on social media? Do you have any shows coming up, any songwriter circles that they can check you out at? Do you want to give us a little, here's where you find us and here's where you can check us out?
Yes. First off, I'm going to quote the immortal movie Roadhouse: be nice. Just be nice to each other and like just listen and be nice. If someone's a jerk to you, be nice. There's too much craziness going on in the world. But with that being said, we are very fortunate. Our favorite radio station in Nashville, WMOT, has invited us to play their Finally Friday, which is a live show at 3rd and Lindsley. And we're going to be live on air at 12:45.
July 21st, and this radio station, you can listen from anywhere. It is an amazing Americana roots radio station.
And it's our favorite radio station, and this was a bucket list thing for us since we moved here. We're like, when we first moved here, we're like, we got to play Finally Friday, and now we are, and we couldn't be more excited.
And then on Instagram, I think that's kind of our most active social media, Megan and Shane Band. You'll see cool things about what we're doing musically, but I also really love my cat. So you're going to see a lot of pictures of my cat.
And we're awful on TikTok. We're not good TikTokers. Sorry. But but yeah, you can just look up Megan and Shane, and if it's someone's like wedding registry, it's not us. If it's music, it's us. And that's pretty cool.
Oh my God, I love that. If it's not somebody's wedding registry. Oh, that's great. That's great. Awesome. Well, I would like to thank both of you, Megan and Shane, for taking the time to chat with me today. It has been an absolute pleasure chatting about you, with you, sharing your music. I really appreciate the time that you have taken to meet with me and all of our listeners. To all of our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Mixin' It. On behalf of all of us here at Sim Radio, this is Nicki Kris. Until next time, keep on mixing it.